What is up, you guys? Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Cassandra. I'm a certified personal trainer and a nutritionist. And today I'm going to be taking you through a Q&A. So every week I post weekly Q&As on my Instagram story, and that gives you guys an opportunity to just ask all of your health and fitness and nutrition questions. And I get some really awesome questions from you guys, and I wanted to get on here and do a Q&A just to go over a couple of the questions that I received on the last one that I did, and hopefully this can give you some deeper insight on how you can accomplish your goals and see the results that you're looking for. So here is some of the questions that I got. So I'm just gonna go through some of them. I have already answered some of these on my Instagram stories. I haven't gotten back to all of them, but I do my best to get back to all of them if I do have time. So somebody asked, if you're cutting and protein is 1 gram per pound, how do you split carbs and fat? So normally I always recommend anywhere between 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. From there, I recommend consuming about 25 to 30% of your total intake from your fat sources, because fats are an essential part of your hormone function, your brain health, and they're necessary to perform vital functions. So you're gonna need those fats, and I always recommend anywhere between 25 to 30%. So whatever your total calorie intake is, let's say you're in a deficit and your calories are around 2,000, you're gonna take either 0.25, which is 25%, or 0.30 times 2,000 to get the amount of calories that you're gonna have in fat sources. And then you're gonna wanna divide that number by 9, because there's 9 total calories in 1 gram of fat to get the total grams of fats you're gonna wanna consume. And then as far as your carbs go, you just fill in the rest with carbs, because carbs are a non-essential macronutrient. So they're just there to help provide your body with extra energy. So you can just fill in the rest with carbs. I also want to mention that per 1 gram of protein, there are 4 calories. Per 1 gram of fats, there are 9 calories. And then per 1 gram of carbs, there are 4 calories. Another person asked, how do you stay consistent and how do you plan your day? So the way that I am able to stay consistent is really just blocking off a time period at the end of my workday to commit to my self-care time or my gym time, or just basically me time, where I'm not focused on work or anything else around me. I know that during those hours, usually about 6 o'clock to 7, 8, 9 o'clock, or the end of my night, that's like me time, because I'm basically spending most of the beginning of my day or the majority of my day working or just doing other things. And I always just make sure that I set that time aside, because if I don't, I know I'm not going to stay consistent. And if I end up planning my gym time around noon, then I know that my whole day is just gonna be thrown off, and I like to keep it consistent every single day. So I go to the gym at the same time basically every single day, unless it's on the weekends. The weekends are usually like my active rest days, so I will just train whenever, or maybe even not train. I'll maybe even go and just do a little bit of cardio, or if I missed a workout during the week, I'll go on a Saturday and just kind of pick up where I left off. Okay, so somebody else asked how to lose fat and gain muscle. Is there anything we should know about nutrition? So there are some very helpful tips regarding your nutrition that is important to kind of keep in the back of your mind, especially if you're trying to lose body fat. So if your main goal is to lose body fat, but you also want to build muscle, the number one thing would be to make sure that you're meeting your protein intake for the day. So like I said in the beginning, you want to make sure that you're consuming at least 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And then as far as building muscle and losing body fat, there's a very common myth out there that you can't do that, but that is completely incorrect, because you can totally build muscle and lose body fat at the same time. You just want to start in a slight caloric deficit. That's what I would personally recommend, and make sure that you're eating a higher amount of protein, so that way you're able to build muscle but then also lose a little bit of body fat in the process. So prioritize your strength gains. Make sure that you're really pushing yourself in the gym, making sure that you're meeting your protein goals. And you can also incorporate steady state cardio into your routine. So that way you're able to lose extra calories throughout the day and also just get rid of some extra body fat in the process. Okay, so somebody asked, what is the healthiest and quickest way to lose body fat before a vacation? So I'm actually going on vacation right now and I'm kind of in the middle of my bulk. So my number one tip, if you are going on a vacation or maybe you're even watching this and you're getting ready for summer, I would recommend starting in a slight caloric deficit around 250 calories, depending on how much time you have until you go on vacation. Let's say you have 8 weeks before you go. I would start in a lower caloric deficit, increase your movement throughout the day, get more steps in, get more movement in, and then make sure that you're staying on top of your nutrition. And then as you get closer, if you're still not seeing the results that you're wanting, you can either increase your movement or you can increase your deficit. I would recommend anywhere between 250 to 500 at the most as you get closer to your vacation. Somebody else said, help, I have stubborn glutes. So this is you. Go check out the Elite 2.0 program because the Elite 2.0 will take you through step by step if you are somebody who is struggling with your current glute building routine, or if you're somebody who wants to grow bigger glutes and you don't know how to do so. It'll literally tell you everything you need to know. It'll spill all of my secrets and show you the ropes on how I was able to grow my glutes. But to share some helpful tips, you want to make sure that you're lifting heavy, you're in a surplus if your main goal is to grow your glutes. It's going to be much harder if you're in a deficit and you're trying to build muscle, and it's going to take a lot longer for you to build that muscle. Whereas if you're in a surplus and your main goal is to build muscle, you're going to have a lot better of a chance at putting on muscle than you are to not put on the muscle. So I would recommend eating in a surplus, focusing on your compound movements, implementing progressive overload, and prioritizing strength gains, because the stronger that you get, the more muscle you're gonna build. Somebody else said, for how many times I need to do the same program in gym? 1 week, 1 month, question. So I always recommend anywhere between 4 to 5 weeks, you're gonna wanna stick with the same workout program, because if you're constantly switching it up, if you're doing random workouts all the time, you're gonna get random results. So random workouts equals random results. So I would find a solid routine, whether you come up with one yourself based on your goals or based on the results that you want to see, and stick with that training program for at least 4 weeks. In that program, for the 4 weeks, you want to implement progressive overload. So when I say implement progressive overload, there's 5 ways that you can do so. You can either increase your load, increase your volume, increase your density, your frequency, or your efficiency. So if you're somebody who struggles with adding weight into your workouts or adding weight into each exercise, that is a-okay, because there's 4 other ways that you can achieve progressive overload. Let's say your main goal is to build your glutes and you're currently working out 5 days a week, and out of those 5 days, you're training your glutes 2 times. So instead of just training your glutes 2 times a week, increase that to 3 times per week. You're increasing your frequency on how often you're gonna be training your glutes. So you're gonna be doing a lot more volume throughout the week instead of only training it 2 days a week. So that is another way you can implement progressive overload instead of just focusing on your weight solely. Okay, so somebody else asked, best workout for an hourglass figure. So it's really important, if you're trying to build an hourglass, do not be afraid to build muscle, and don't be afraid to train your upper body, because there's a big misconception that if you start working out and if you start lifting weights that you're gonna look too bulky or you're gonna look manly or non-feminine. That is totally not the case. you have to be working out for a long period of time to give yourself time to build that muscle. So as far as creating an hourglass figure, I would recommend building your upper body wider. So like your delts, your back, a lot of like lat movements to kind of build out a little wider to help create the illusion of a smaller waist. And then also just build your glutes, build your lower body. So that way you are very proportional up top and on the bottom. Somebody asked, how often do I have to train the glute muscles in order to find results in 1 week? So each week, I always train lower body 3 times a week. And I've been training lower body 3 times a week for a very long time, as pretty much as long as I remember starting my fitness journey. So if you're trying to grow your glutes or if you're trying to build muscle anywhere, I would say anywhere between 2 to 3 times a week is a good starting point. You also want to make sure that you're giving your body proper recovery time. And if you do feel super sore, especially when you're first starting out, you don't have to train so hard and so heavy every single time. Usually my workouts, like my lower body workouts at the beginning of the week, so Mondays, are always going to be my heaviest training days. And then usually by the time Wednesday comes, I'm still feeling a little bit sore from Monday's workout, or I'm just starting to feel sore from Monday's workout. So what I do is I do more volume, but I lighten the load. And then same goes for Friday. By then, I'm usually a lot more sore. I don't really have as much energy because it's towards the end of the week. I already completed almost a full week of workout. So what I do is either decrease my load, increase my volume, or really prioritize exercises that are going to fatigue my glutes, so that way over the weekend I can just recover and be ready for the next week of workouts. Okay, somebody else asked, do you take creatine? And the answer is yes. I don't always take creatine throughout the whole year. I usually just take it during the time when I'm following a training program. Right now, I'm currently taking creatine HCl. This is a very pure form of creatine. As you can tell, the scoops are very small. So what I really like about this creatine is that it has a really high absorption rate. So you don't really need a whole lot of it for it to work and for it to absorb into your body. So I take a scoop of this once a day with my pre-workout, and I do feel like creatine does make a difference. Creatine, I would say, is probably one of the best supplements that you can take if your goal is to build muscle. So it's naturally occurring in our bodies. So it's not like something that's unnatural to our bodies. And it ultimately just helps you gain strength. It helps you build muscle. And I notice a big difference, especially when I'm trying to gain strength, when I take this. So this really does help me. This is from Caged. I do have a discount code if you guys want to check it out. If not, no worries. Or if you have a creatine that you love most, then that works too. But this is the one that I've been taking for several years. This works really well for me. I'll also link it down below if you guys want. So that way you can just check it out. Somebody says, I am in a calorie deficit, trying to lose fat and gain muscles at the same time. Is that possible? Yes, that is totally possible. You can build muscle and lose body fat at the same time. I kind of went over that in one of the before questions. So if you want to just kind of skim back to where I went over that, you can, but you can definitely do so. My recommendations would be to start in a slight caloric deficit. You don't want to be in a huge deficit because that's going to make it a lot harder for you to build muscle. So in a small caloric deficit, around 250 calories, and really focus on your compound movements, progressive overload, fueling your body with nutrition, and having a higher protein intake. Somebody asked, how can I stop losing muscle mass while losing body fat? Like I said before, your number one priority is going to be your protein intake. That is going to help you preserve your muscle mass and make sure that you're not losing as much muscle mass in the process of losing weight or losing body fat. Because when you're mainly focused on weight loss, you're kind of sacrificing the muscle that you have already built. And that's why it's so important to track your macros. And it's also important to pay attention to the calories in versus calories out. So regardless, if you're consuming less calories than you're burning throughout the day, you're gonna lose weight. Same goes for if you're consuming more calories than you're burning throughout the day, you're gonna gain weight. But the quality of those calories does matter, because if you're consuming 2,000 calories and you're consuming probably less than 75 grams of protein a day, your body's mainly gonna store those extra calories as body fat, and you're most likely gonna lose that muscle mass that you've built. So making sure that you're meeting your protein needs for the day is gonna be very helpful and very significant if you are trying to preserve any muscle mass or even build muscle mass in the process of losing body fat. And also the quality of foods that you eat does play a significant role in how you feel. So if you feel like you're just eating whatever and then you're not really paying attention to the quality of the foods that you're eating out all the time, you're eating high processed, high sugary foods, you're probably not gonna feel as good as if you were to just eat healthy, nutritious meals or whole foods or lean sources of protein. So the quality of your foods do matter, especially if you're trying to achieve a certain goal, like build muscle or lose body fat. So it's important to pay attention to your calories. Obviously, calories in versus calories out. How you feel is gonna be dependent on also the quality of the foods, but the macros behind those calories is gonna be the difference between whether you're building muscle or you're losing body fat, or you're gaining body fat or losing muscle. So those are some key points to really pay attention to. Somebody else asked, how do I get rid of the bottom belly pouch? So I have had a lot of clients who have seen really, really great results, and they're consistent with their training, they're following their nutrition, but then they have one area where they're noticing is not coming off immediately. And that's totally normal, because we cannot pick and choose where we lose the body fat. Our body's just gonna burn it wherever it's gonna burn it. So if you're concerned about a specific area on your body, with time and consistency, following your training program and fueling your body with the right foods and consuming enough protein and quality ingredients, then your body's eventually gonna lose that area. Maybe not completely, but it's gonna see significant differences than where you were before you first started out. Somebody else asked, I love working out, but always run out of energy midway. What can I do? I recommend taking an intra-workout supplement, or just have like a carb source that you can kind of snack on or take a bite of while you're working out, just to kind of refuel those glycogen storages and give your body some extra energy to help you get through the rest of your workout. I know some intra-workouts do have caffeine, so if you're somebody who's not sensitive to caffeine, that's another recommendation. Somebody else said, I'm interested in a glute building program. What I'm doing is not working, so I'm trying to find the best program. So there are a lot of workouts out there on the internet that you can find, and sure, after your workout, you might feel better, you might feel like it was a successful workout, but achieving a certain result in the gym, whether that's building muscle, adding shape, building an hourglass, losing weight, burning body fat, or growing your glutes, there needs to be a strategic plan of action, because working out has a lot of benefits. You can increase your heart rate, it will improve your mood, you'll burn calories, but if you're trying to achieve a specific result, there needs to be a specific roadmap that you're following in order to reach those goals. Especially if you have a certain timeline on when you want to reach those goals, you're going to have so much more success if you're following a program, and if you have a plan of action that you're following, you're going to see results a lot sooner. One of the mistakes that I made along my journey when I first started out, because I was just not informed, or I guess because I was just not educated on different workouts and variations, and I kind of just found my favorite influencer and just started following their workouts or just trying new things online or on YouTube. And I was kind of on this roller coaster of seeing a little bit of progress and then not seeing any, and then seeing some and then not. And then you kind of go through this spiral of feeling frustrated because you're not reaching the goals you want to achieve. So with that being said, it's also important to understand when you're training what exercises those muscles are targeting. So that way you can implement mind to muscle connection. Also be training the body parts and muscle groups that you're trying to target. Before, I only did a lot of vertically loaded exercises like squat variations, and I hardly ever did any horizontally loaded exercises like hip thrusts. And I would say making that small change and incorporating exercises from that plane of motion made the most significant difference along my glute building journey. And also learning a little bit more about progressive overload and how I can continuously see progress and track my workouts and make sure that I'm always pushing myself so that way I can see results. Okay, somebody else asked, how often do you recommend to change the amount of macros consumed? So if you're first starting out and maybe you're following a training program or you're looking to follow a training program and you're trying to get your nutrition in check and you're gonna start following macros and calculating your macros, or maybe you have hired a coach to do it for you and you're wanting to know how often you should change that. So same thing goes with your training program. You want to stick with your macros consistently. You don't want to switch your macros up too often. You don't want to do it like every day or every couple of days or every week. I would say anywhere between 3 to 4 weeks is a good time to change up your macros based on the progress that you're making. Okay, so I'm going to answer one last question. I do have some more on here, but to wrap this video up, we're gonna end up with this last question because it has to do with the Elite program, which is a 12-week glute building program, and it's the one that I'm currently following. So she asked, does this guide tell us what workouts to do on what days? Yes, all of my programs go over exactly what workouts to do on what days. They're labeled as day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. So regardless of whether your Monday is on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, you can start day 1 on a Wednesday and then do day 2 on a Thursday if that works best for your schedule. Or if you miss a day, then you're kind of like thrown off. That's not the case. My program takes you through day 1, day 2, day 3, all the way out throughout the 8 to 12 weeks. And if you do miss a day, you can just pick up where you left off. That is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you do want to stick around for more future Q&As or future workout content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I am so beyond grateful for you guys, and I am super happy that I get to be here just to share some helpful tips with you guys. Hopefully these things help, and I hope that you can take some value from it, and hopefully this helps you along your journey. Thanks again for stopping in, and I will see you guys on the next one.